Mihawk vs Shanks, easily the biggest, most toxic debate in the One Piece fandom right now. It has pretty much divided the fanbase into two nearly equal halves, at least the Twitter fandom. On one side are Shanks fans, Law fans, Sanji fans, Zoro haters, Mihawk haters. Don't know how that's a thing. We barely have a backstory of Mihawk. And the other side are Zoro fans, Mihawk fans, Sanji haters, Shanks haters, Law haters. This debate isn't a debate between fans of two characters, but fans and haters of several characters, and it's honestly genius, coincidental genius, how easily can all these pick sides. If you are a Sanji fan, then Shanks is your pick. If you don't like Law, and with the recent Law versus Zoro debates, you choose Mihawk. In terms of a debate, it's easily the only thing that could have divided One Piece's power scalars into two opposing sides. Now I know not all power scalars are included, like Luffy fans, they don't care. Luffy always takes the win in the end. He's always going to be the winner, so there's no debate on him. So without wasting any more time on all this fandom analysis, let's begin with a topic as dangerous as any political issue. When talking about Mihawk vs Shanks, many things come into play. Feats, narrative, how a person sees the story, which also changes how someone sees the narrative. Though on the feats aspect, nothing changes, though some feats do get underrated or overrated due to agendas. In this video, I will talk about both feats and what I think about the views of the fandom on Mihawk's feats until now in the story, and narrative, and what I think the narrative is, what I think the story is and is moving towards. And in the end, I will also mention who I like more, Shanks or Mihawk, which should help you guys understand where my views are coming from, how biased or unbiased I am, to make myself clear on all areas. Starting with the feats that both of the characters have shown as of chapter 1103. Shanks obviously outclasses Mihawk, but not in the exact way the fandom seems to believe. Shanks right now has the best Conqueror's Haki feat in terms of damage. In terms of range, that goes to Garp. And he also has the best observation Haki feat displayed up until now in the story. The presence that he carries, the sort of Roger Luffy charisma, and the respect that he seems to have earned from pretty much every side in the One Piece world, and that too from top tiers who either directly fought against Roger or Whitebeard, or saw them fight, or are major players in the final saga of the story. When we compare this to Mihawk's feats, the difference between Mihawk's feats and the feats of Shanks up until this now in the story seems the same as pre-time skip Luffy versus post-time skip Luffy. It's just too big. And not just the feats, but the sudden build-up and every time Shanks is on screen, showing a new power level makes Mihawk's feats severely underrated. Shanks is the eye through which the One Piece fandom can see what Roger, Garp, Whitebeard, and Rocks, what they would have been capable of. But as I said, all this makes Mihawk's feats severely underrated. Cutting an iceberg of that level with a sword slash you intend, unlike in Shanks' case where he is serious with whatever he does, with whatever attacks he has done in the series, Mihawk put his least effort and he cut the entire iceberg. To put that into context, with Zoro, who is as strong as Law and Kid in the story right now, the only wise captain surely stronger than him is Ben Beckman. His sword slash, if he tried as less as Mihawk did, then would barely scratch the iceberg with Haki, with Advanced Conqueror's Haki. And I am surely confident on that. And through Luffy's growth in Wano, we know the difference between an emperor and the usual first commanders, except people like Oden, Ben Beckman, and Rayleigh. So it's not any exaggeration, nor it should be a doubt that a fight between Mihawk and Shanks would be high def, for sure, regardless of the hype factor around the feats that Shanks has displayed. Talking about hype, which brings us to narrative. I don't think there is anyone that thinks I am about to say something that you haven't heard before, but I am. The narrative is what creates this debate between Shanks and Mihawk, or rather gives a foundation to it. If Shanks fans have feats, Mihawk fans have narrative. Well, let's dissect this real quick. The world's strongest, greatest, best, whatever you call it, Mihawk has all the title. His title, factually though, is translated to the world's strongest swordsman. But let's not get into that. Now, where this debate has come, many don't consider this title a valid source. Not just because of Whitebeard in Marineford, but also because of the Kaido situation in Wano, who was incredible. Kaido had incredible feats, but with the final saga to go, it's highly unlikely he was the actual strongest, even if you take Emu out of the equation, and considering Blackbeard isn't obviously at his prime yet. These titles seem to lose meaning over time. For Whitebeard, old age was an excuse, but in Kaido's case, now the community has understood Oda doesn't care about these titles enough to somehow preserve them. Power scaling isn't Oda's strong area, so even if Mihawk has the strongest title, it doesn't matter. Same as was in Kaido's case. Well, let me tell you one thing. Whitebeard's strongest man title and Kaido's strongest creature title really even I think don't matter. I am with Shanks fans on that. And never did. I also believe Dragon's Most Wanted doesn't mean anything. Not just because Oda doesn't care about power scaling as much as new arcs, he just doesn't know how to make these titles live up to the hype. But in Mihawk's case, Mihawk's title, in terms of importance, is far more important than all of these three combined. These titles, in terms of importance against Mihawk's title, get 0 points. 0. Because let's consider what I just said real quick. I remove Whitebeard's title from the story, I remove Kaido's title from the story, and while we are at it, remove Dragon's too. What changes in the story? Certainly nothing. In Whitebeard and Kaido's case, I mean just the title, not the character work. The character work stays the same. Just remove the title. Nothing happens to the story. It's honestly like Oda's fake out deaths. If Pell lived, Lola's father lived, or Cornish's father lived, all of them stay dead, nothing changes. If you remove those panels in which they came back, nothing changes in the story, nothing. But Mihawk's title, if you remove that, his character in the story makes little sense. The second most popular character in the story, his entire character path as well changes. What he does from now, what he has done, all of it changes or should change significantly. So the most idiotic thing you can say in this debate is Mihawk's title doesn't matter. Which brings us to the final counterpoint Shanks fans make. Haki. You are going to hear something in this one too, I promise. Something new. I am a Shanks fan, by the way. I want him to be stronger, and I will mention at the end of the video how I think Shanks may be stronger than Mihawk. And I honestly believe Mihawk has the worst fan base in the story, easily the worst one. But there is no argument that we as Shanks fans make that has ever made any sense, even me, and I will get to all of them. The Haki one. For example, consider Ryo, armament Haki, to be a part of swordsmanship. I'm not saying it is, but let's just say it is, as both are connected. And consider Advanced Conqueror's coating, a part of swordsmanship as well, as it's a part of your fighting style. Both of these Haki types are hard to separate from a character's fighting style, which in the case of Mihawk and Shanks is swordsmanship. What is the one Haki type that every fighter uses the same way? Observation. And no, I am not going to use the clairvoyant stuff for Hawkeye or his Hawkeye title. Observation Haki is the only thing that is separate from your fighting style. You mean to tell me, as a Shanks fan, that Mihawk with, let's say, Katakuri or Luffy level future sight is going to fight Zoro, use a Haki type future sight which has nothing to do with swordsmanship, and defend his title of the world's most skilled swords, a title that is based on purely skill, a duel based on skill? The world's strongest swordsman title is going to be defended using the only Haki ability in One Piece for which an argument can be made has nothing to do with swordsmanship specifically. There is no argument for Shanks. Even after all the hype, no argument makes any literal sense. None. But as a Shanks fan, hope ain't lost for us. Of course, from what the story has given us, and even with how vague One Piece power scaling is, no Shanks argument makes any sense. And if Mihawk's title truly was a lie, That's a minus. Huge minus for One Piece as a piece of media. The only thing that can turn this around even a little is Golden or Elemental Hagi or whatever name fans have for it. That is the only possible way of Shanks being the winner in this debate. And even then, it's difficult. Because of what Mihawk already told Shanks at the start of the story in chapter 95, I think it was. He said to him, "You won't win." Basically, that was what he meant. And I don't see Oda turning Zoro's dream into someone who doesn't know his own strength or is only insinuating he will win if Shanks doesn't use his golden haki or something. But again, as a Shanks fan, I want him to be stronger. I really do. I really am a Shanks fan. I am not pretending. But no argument from the Shanks area makes any sense. And I know Oda as a Shanks fan too wants him to be stronger. So he may find a way, but then he gasses Zoro to infinity too. So who knows? Well, that's all for this one. Like, comment, subscribe, recommend me mangas, anime, and I hope this video was worth your time. Thank you.